Before steaming the engine, in preparation, you have to connect the engine and the tender. There's 4 water connections, and they connect. This is the hand pump one. You need spanners for that. The others just press on. They go in line, so they don't cross over. They line up engine and tender. Once they're connected, fill the tender with water. Then using the hand pump in the tender with removable handle, fill the boiler until the sight glass shows at least half a glass, maybe a little bit more. It'll take quite a long time. You can take a safety valve out, fill it through the safety valve hole. To light the fire, ordinary barbecue charcoal which has been soaked in paraffin overnight. Fill the firebox right up till it's level with the door, full length of the grate. And for raising steam you need a fairly substantial electric blower. It's best to put the flaming charcoal in the fire before you turn the blower on, otherwise it tends to suck the flames off the shovel. You can see instantly the effect that the blower has on the fire. So close the doors, let the charcoal capture light. Once the charcoal's been alight for just a couple of minutes, you start adding some coal. This is Welsh steam coal, bean size, supplied by Signal Fuels. Other fuel companies are available. Put plenty of coal on the top, so the charcoal's all covered. Shut the door and just wait. While we're waiting for the fire to burn through, I'll go through the controls in the cab clockwise. This is a reverser. It's about 2.5 turns full forward to full reverse, so it's very easy to use. The mid position is mid gear where the engine won't move. Obviously forward is to run forwards, back will run backwards. Moving up, steam brake valve, 2 positions, brakes on, brakes off, just turns an 1/8 of a turn. Boiler pressure gauge, regulator, controls the speed of the locomotive, water glass, which is at the moment full of water, and that's the blowdown for the water gauge. Then on the turret, 4 valves and a whistle valve. The 2 outside valves are isolators for the 2 3-cock valves, just in case they leak on boiler test. So that's the isolator for the brake valve. That is the injector steam valve, that is the blower valve, that is the whistle valve, and the last one isolates the steam drain control valve. This is the bypass valve for the water pump. Fire doors. That's everything in the cab. Moving around the engine, below the cab here, this is the boiler blowdown valve, and it's remotely connected to the lower part of the firebox, but the control valve for it is there. That's for blowing the boiler down after a run when the pressure's decayed to about 20 pounds, not higher. Moving around to the front, lubricator oil tank. That's the filler plug, and there's a drain plug underneath. Just fill the tank completely up with heavyweight steam oil, having drained it after a run. It will eventually become more full of water than oil, and after about 3 or 4 hours running, just drain the whole thing out, refill it with heavy steam oil. On the right hand side of the locomotive, below the footplate, is the live steam injector, which is fed from the tender, and the water control valve is there. So that's the injector water valve. This is the handbrake for the tender, which is just for parking. The fire's been alight for about 5 minutes now. You can see we've got a well-established coal fire. Pressure gauge is, the boiler pressure is just coming up to 30 pounds. That's the time to turn the live steam blower on, and then you can take your electric blower fan off. You now need to monitor the engine carefully because the pressure will rise quite quickly, and as the pressure rises, trim the blower down just to keep the fire stable, otherwise you'll be blowing off hard. Running the engine, find the reverser in forward gear, cylinder cock's open, that's to the left, steam brakes off, again to the left, very full of water at the moment, so there's a lot of condensate. It will clear, dry up. Get the front. See, the steam operated drain cocks are open. Turn the lever 30 degrees to the left and it closed. Open again. Closed. Steam brakes on, I can pull it out. That's the steam brakes on. Reverse, anti-clockwise on the reverser. The axle-driven pump, the delivery from the axle-driven pump is controlled by the bypass valve, anti-clockwise this valve is then open and all the delivery from the pump goes back to the tender. If you want pump water into the boiler when the level's going down there, just close it up. And it'll start to pump. You can hear it pumping, you can hear the valves. The injector feeds better between 60 and 90. Water's on, just turn the steam on, and it's feeding. When you get the engine tested at your club, they'll do a hydraulic test to 1.5 times working pressure, but then after that they will steam the engine. They will then put the blower on, absolutely full, with a full fire, to check the safety valves, and they will expect the safety valves to not let the boiler pressure rise more than 10% above the working pressure. So as long as it doesn't go above 99, it will pass the test. Well, this has all been pre-tested, and it will cope with it. Eventually when the fire gets really hot, then the whole thing will reach an equilibrium and it'll be at its maximum steaming rate, and the safety valves will be pleased to cope with the pressure rise. Almost white hot fire, pressure's at about 96. While you're running, if the water gauge gets contaminated with dirt inside, then the blowdown there will clear the sediment out of the blower. So you just blow it out underneath the engine. Right, so we listen to out what it's like. It's very important to lubricate the engine before running it, especially when it's new. And with each engine we're going to supply a bottle of Lucas Assembly Lube, which is a very, very viscous oil that contains molybdenum, and it's ideal for the initial running in of the engine. So you need to lubricate every moving part through the valve gear, slide bars, piston rod, valve rod. Remember that between the frames, because it's a 3-cylinder machine, there is another set of valve gear. There's also a water pump with water pump eccentric, centre cylinder big end, centre valve gear eccentric. So you need to locate and oil every part. The axles throughout the engine are fitted with roller bearings, and just a small bit of oil run down the back of the wheel will seep into the roller bearing. They're not sealed units, so they will oil by running the oil down the back. Same goes on the tender. You also need to lubricate the slides where the axle boxes move on the springs. Likewise on the engine. It's also not a bad idea to lubricate all the valve spindles before you steam up, and a tiny spot of oil in the safety valves. Disposal after a run. Let the fire die down, let the pressure decay to about 30 pounds, and the grate bars just pull out. You just lift them up with the hook, pull them out. Bearing in mind they will be hot. And then the grate's in 3 sections. The 2 side sections don't really need to come out, you can just shake the ash off them. Then, as long as the pressure's not more than 30 pounds, open the blowdown valve here. It's useful to blow the boiler down because it removes sediment. It also makes the engine a lot lighter to move around. It's not full of water.